Ladies, gentlemen, and Veilguard of all ages, with the release of this game to the world, there's a lot of people jumping in to experience it and immerse themselves into the world, the relationships, and the character building of Dragon Age. And with this, you may have decided which class you want to play, but maybe you are looking for a bit of guidance for the actual start of your journey. The game isn't overly tough if you take advantage of all the options available to you, but especially with resetting skill points being as easy as holding down a single button on the menu, I figured it'd be fun to go through our sort of starter builds and what we found to be particularly effective for each class, with explanations on why we went that way, as well as talking about companion skills or gear that might support it too. First up then, let's talk Warrior, and this one I like to call the Necrotic Bleed Warrior. For as early game as it is, it definitely does have a bit of a theme to it. One part of this, if you want to really like abilities, is just sort of a secondary function of how they work, so this is extremely strong too. For your actual gear, anything that boosts rage generation, duration abilities, or projectile and shield damage are fantastic, as our main gameplay style is absolutely just spamming our abilities whenever we can, while just using shield toss and reflect from medium to long range. That covers Warrior then, so let's move on to our second class, the Mage. In a somewhat similar vein to Warrior, we're going to place a heavy emphasis on duration skills, but realistically, only one of them, because it's the only one that you need to get to where you want to be. This starter build can branch off quite easily into either Evoker or Spellblade, but definitely has a better set of future synergies with Spellblade, so we'll build towards hitting that spot at level 20, and you can of course just sort of adjust if you want to go somewhere else. Short term, we work around lightning mostly, before working in fire as well, including the related damage over time afflictions of each of these, and long term, if you go Spellblade, there's even a node here that makes you apply burning whenever you apply shocked, and vice versa, which is a very potent way to keep every enemy at 4 or more stacks of 2 different sources of damage over time. The main goal of this early then is playing around lightning damage, and especially the Tempest ability. This has incredible strength and synergy potential, being a strike duration ability that puts a big circle around you, and then a powerful lightning bolt will strike at a random enemy in the radius once every 2 seconds for 8 seconds, so you get 4 strikes for every cast. This does large amounts of damage, and while it can only target one enemy, it will damage any enemy that is also close to the target as well when the strike hits, making it also effective at a lot of general multi-target scenarios that exist. By far though, this is best for its single target output. Though that said, the way the ability works, you can use it in a big group of enemies, and if it kills one enemy, it will just move and start targeting another one. So if you build it to do enough damage, it excels at pretty much every sort of combat in the game. The main synergy for this is a skill node that lets you get guaranteed critical hits with ability hits that hit knocked down enemies. Tempest itself can knock down smaller enemies, so generally what happens against anything other than like bosses is the first strike knocks an enemy over, then they get crit by the next strike while standing up because of this, then the next strike will knock them over again, then they get crit by the next strike while they're standing up, and this just keeps sort of going. This opens up a lot of potential things to work around, as of course critical hits themselves are quite strong, but there are a lot of crit-based synergies like companion equipment, and again, I don't want to get spoilery with all the companions and all of this early on, but there is a companion with the Crows faction who gets a piece of equipment that can apply stacks of bleed whenever you get crits, and that is absolutely perfect for what we're doing here. Tempest and the lightning hits themselves already apply shock thanks to one of our passives making any strike ability apply shock, so that means each hit of Tempest applies the shock affliction. Crits with Tempest then also apply the bleed affliction, so once again, sort of like Warrior, we're just stacking different damage over time effects to ruin enemies with the after effects of the skill just as much as the upfront damage itself.